Hey, how's it going? This video is part of a series I'm calling Before I Parted Out. I hope it's pretty self-explanatory. What we're going to be doing today is basically disassembling this 2012 Salsa Fargo Titanium. Before I Parted Out is going to be partly using some of my personal collection to help fund the shop for a while, because right now the bike industry and the bike business is pretty tough. This particular bike, I'm going to take some of the parts off and repurpose them to another frame I have, which is sitting right here. This is a Schlick Cycles Growler. It is a Zen AR45, basically. And almost all the parts on this Fargo are going to fit on this frame. The only exception, I think, is going to be the headset. We'll see once we get to the actual build. But the reason why I'm getting... over there. The reason why I'm going to do this is I really intended this bike to be a cross-country bike, and I haven't been able to make that trip for a lot of reasons, and I don't want to sit on a bike that's worth some money when it can help fund the shop. So this is actually a pretty unique Fargo. I got it from a guy who got it from a guy. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Who got it from a guy, his son worked at QBP, and when this bike was first being introduced, they had some prototypes made. This serial number on this bike doesn't even show up in Salsa's database. So my feeling is that it's one of the first Lynskey prototypes that they did as a proof of concept before they actually went into production. Lynskey in the United States actually made the first 2 years, the 2012 and the 2013, before they sent titanium production over to Taiwan. And so this is a pretty unique bike in that it was made in the United States of America. It uses the alternator dropouts, so you've got some adjustability there. If you want to run just about any kind of drivetrain from a normal derailleur all the way up to a roll-off or a single speed or whatever, you pretty much can do anything with this dropout. There are different inserts. This one is a through axle because that's what the wheel is. But what I'm going to do is basically do this as quickly as possible because, again, most of these parts are going on the other bike, so I don't have to do things like take off the handlebar grip, take off the brake lever, take off the shifter, which is of note. The shifter is a MicroShift SRM12. It's a 12-speed SRAM spaced thumb shifter. And with these Whisky, which ones are these? These are not the Millhouse. They're the other one, the one that they make that's not the Millhouse. They work really great because this is an indexed thumb shifter, and it's super, super sweet. Got a little bell over here. This is one of those ringy things. And I'm going to keep the alternator front rack because it works on the fork that I'm going to be using on the new bike. So we'll have to take the crank off, chain off, derailleur off, brakes off. These are Avid BB7 brakes. I may put a pair of TRP spikes. I kind of prefer the dual clampy motion of the spikes. We'll see on the new build how that goes, but it's already going to be apart, so I might as well, if I'm going to swap the brakes, do that, because they're going to be clamping onto these. I don't know if you can see them. I'll do a little with the camera thing to show you, but these are Hope rotors, floating rotors with nice orange coloring on the carrier for the rotor. Other stuff on here, just before we get to it, race face crank. These are really cool pedals, Tioga Spiders. I don't know if anybody uses those anymore, but I like them. So I'm going to get some tools, and actually, it's not going to take a whole lot of tools to do this, but what I'm going to do right now is just do a quick overview of them with my other camera. And then I'll come back in here, and you can see right now the tools we're using. All right, I pretty much laid out on top of the tool bench what I'm going to need from left to right. The left black handled snippers are for doing the cable ties. Then there's a chain link tool. There's a cable cutter tool. There's all the Allen wrench sizes I'm going to need. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8, I believe, are all we're going to need for this disassembly. So those are the tools, pretty much simple stuff. That X12 chain over there, that's actually going to go on a different bike. I'm swapping my box 9-speed system out for a SRAM system on my beach bike. But anyway, those are the tools. Let's get back to the build. All right, so those are the tools I'm going to use. I don't have a specific method to my madness, but what I'm going to do is take the wheels off first. The drivetrain, I might as well just remove the chain right off the bat. Let's get the derailleur down to its lowest position there. And just like that, the thumb shifter does a good job of being rapid at all that kind of stuff. So now we're down here. Going to lock the derailleur. Somehow he does that, like that. Going to find the link that I need to pull out of the chain, which is right there. Get my trusty link tool. And we'll take that link right out of there, like so. And hope we don't lose those parts. This bike I built up and didn't use it a whole lot, so all the drivetrain stuff's in really good shape. Let's just get that chain out of there and put it right over here. All right, chain out. Since it's kind of right there, I think I'm just going to take the derailleur off too. Likely need a snipper and a 5mm for this job. Just gonna put new cables on the, we're gonna need a 4mm for that, not a 5mm for that, so yeah. And here's the trusty 4mm. Relieve the cable right here. Oh, they did it to me, didn't they? It's not a 4mm. It's a T25 Torx, and I don't know why people are going to these, but I guess they're a little bit better interface, but there you go. So that's a T25 Torx on an Eagle derailleur, which I guess I kind of forgot about, but that is what it is. So now let's get rid of this cable here. Over there. And good to go there. And then we'll take the derailleur off. This is a SRAM Eagle 12-speed derailleur. Save my little piece right there. And that's so deep in there that I can't get it. I don't like using the ball end unless I have to, but in this case, I guess we have to. The ball end is nice when you got to angle in, but I don't really like it for, you know, major tightening or major loosening. It tends to schmow up the head of the bolt. In that case, that wasn't on there super tight, so I feel pretty good about that. Derailleur. And now I will drop the rear wheel out, which is another 5mm on this 6mm. You know, there you go, 6mm on the through axle. Pop that out of there. Like I said, because I'm not completely parting this bike out and selling every part separately, I don't have to go through taking the cassette off or the rotor off of this wheel, since it's going to be going on another bike. So there we go, wheel off. I'm going to put the through axle back in because this is going to go with the frame. This is the Salsa deadbolt through axle. Probably wipe that grease off there when I get to it later. Let's take off the zip ties that are holding the cables here. Actually, there's only one cable going to the back brake right here. And I really like this little tool. It comes with some zip ties that I get on Amazon, and every time I order a bag, I get another one, and I'm always happy I have it because I seem to leave them lying around for some reason more than other tools. If I can find that, I might leave a link in the show notes for where you can pick up the bag with the cool tool, because I honestly think the tool is worth as much as the as the zip ties. I'll throw these in this here garbage can. And so I've got that off, got that off. Let's get that brake off in the back. Again, with the, well, this one I can do it this way. Fortunately, that's not very tight either. So we're going to get our cable cutter once more. And remove the cable housing. And then this is the BB7. Take that off. This is actually the BB7S, which is the one with the stainless steel hardware. I figured this bike would have or will on the new build get some wet weather use and whatnot, doing some touring, so it might as well have the good hardware on there. If you're not familiar with Avid brakes, they have a system that allows the caliper to rotate, so there's actually quite a few little parts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the bolts, so kind of a lot. And once you clamp those things down, sometimes they don't like to go back on another build. You might need to get yourself a whole new set if you can't get the brake to align properly, which is what these are supposed to do. They actually rotate so that the caliper can rotate a little bit and become aligned with the rotor. All right, so that is the back part of the bike, all clean and ready to go. Crank's going to be next. I don't think I can get this wrong. This is an 8mm. And this is a race face. Let's see here. See how strong I got to be to do this and not whack my hand on the pedals, because that can hurt with those spikes on there. I just loosened it up a bit and pull that thing out of there. Okay, crank arm off. Then this pulls out of here like so. One more tool that I'll need that I didn't mention before is going to be the bottom bracket tool that will take those cups, those bottom bracket cups out of the frame. See if it's this guy here, because I think it is. See, it's a Park Tool BBT79 for the race face bottom bracket. And I'm going to need a socket for this deal. There we go. And we're going to take off both of these cups. They both rotate forward to take them off the frame. So smooth. And there's a little spacer in there I'm going to keep. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to need on the new build, but we'll keep all this dust seals and whatnot intact. And then on the other side, same deal, towards the front of the bike, like so. So one side is opposite thread. You probably already knew that if you've done any bike stuff, but if you haven't, that's how that works. Didn't use a spacer on this side, so this must be a 68mm shell. Also, I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but there's a copper anti-seize, or they call it tie prep. So when you use something like this in a tie frame, you want to use something like that so it doesn't get seized in there. But the copper anti-seize or Finish Line, Tie Prep, or whatever else. There's other ones out there, but it's usually copper colored. And I think it basically comes from the automotive industry. So that is that. And then, what do we have left? We've got to take the fork off. I'll just take this bag off just because. This is a Roadrunner bag, which Everyday Cycles is a dealer for. They make some nice stuff, and they make it right down there in Los Angeles, California. So US made stuff. That'll go on the new bike. I love that thing. And so this bike uses a 1 1/8 inch headset. So I'm going to leave this headset with the bike just because the new bike is going to be a 44mm headset. And I don't know, this FSA one is nice and it's new and it's on there, and I need a 5mm. And let's see what Ren does on their stems. Do they use the Torx? No, they don't. How nice of them. So we're just going to loosen the stem up just a little bit because I'm going to keep this whole handlebar assembly together. I think the frame is almost the same size as this current Salsa frame that I'm going to be putting this on, so hopefully I can use this same length stem, at least with these handlebars. I like these handlebars a lot. They're carbon and they've got some nice flex to them. Whisky. I'll remember what they're called before the end of the video, hopefully. This is just a threaded or a threadless headset, so pop that out of there. And pull this stuff off of here. Put these spacers somewhere along with, actually, yeah, put those spacers somewhere because I'm not going to use those again. But basically, we're just going to take this off of here and drop that out of there. And one thing I'm going to do off camera, because it takes a little while, is pull this crown race off of here to put with that headset so the new owner can, if they want to use this headset, just have the proper headset race. But that's a whole tool and a whole operation, and it's probably a video unto itself. So this whole thing is now ready to install on the other bike. Once I remove that, I'll put the new headset crown race on there and be good to go. So for now, I'm just going to lay this down because I'm going to build up that other bike almost right away here. So basically, there you have it. It is disassembled, and keep these nice brass ferrules. And it's basically ready to sell. All I got to do is drop the seat post out of there. Let's see, let's do that right now so I can get some pictures of this puppy and get it listed for sale. Probably put this on Facebook Marketplace. I'm not a real big fan right now of eBay just because of the fees, and especially since this is going to be a little bit more on the expensive side. Boy, is that thing light. I forgot how great titanium is when it's just all by itself and you can hold it in your hand like this. And that's even with the rack on. It's a beautiful frame. And once again, 2012 Fargo Titanium. This is going to be for sale just as you see it right here. Seat post clamp, rear rack, alternator dropouts, the deadbolt through axle thingy there, and the FSA 36-degree cartridge headset in white. So keep an eye out for that on Facebook Marketplace. I'll throw it up on the website also. That would be fullspectrumcycling.com. Might even put it on fatbike.com since theoretically you can put some pretty fat tires on these. And so there you have it. Before I part it out, and or in this case, before I build another bike with that stuff, this is what's going to get sold by itself. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to be doing some more of these that get a little more into depth with super specialized parts, especially on old like mid-90s mountain bikes that I have. And those are going to be down to the actual component itself. So that might get a little more in depth. But hey, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. And if you want a really super sweet frame set, consider buying this one, because it really has almost never been ridden, even though it's going on, what, 13 years old? You know, the guys before me never built it up. I was the first guy to build it up, and I probably have a couple hundred miles on it, which is really a shame. So I hope somebody can get some good use out of it. Until next time, this has been Before I Part It Out, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.